So if you're struggling to get to sleep, not stay asleep, but just get to sleep, you might want to try reducing the amount of sensory information that's being sent to your brain. So your brain receives information from the rest of your body through different sensory receptors all over your body, and some of those are really good at adapting to what they're feeling. So if you sit in a chair, for example, you're not constantly bombarded with the fact that, hey, there's something under my butt cheeks, there's something under your butt cheeks, there's something under your butt cheeks, because you know you've sat in the chair. Those sensory receptors have served their purpose of letting you know you've arrived on the chair. You don't need to know that anymore. And your brain adapts to receiving information from that area pretty quickly. But things like your hands, your face, especially your lips, and even your big toe are not very good at adapting to receiving stimulus. So they're constantly sending messages to your brain that something's touching them, and the details about what they're touching, because when you come into contact with things in your environment, it's really important that your brain, especially from your fingers and your hands, get a really good detailed overview of what it is to help you identify whatever it is that you're touching and feeling. But you don't need that when you sleep. So I suggest, in the same way that you wear an eye mask or earplugs to dampen the sensory information that you're receiving about sound in your environment at night time, or light if you have to sleep in a room that you can't make dark, is to put your palms of your hands away so your blankets and other things aren't touching them. And then what I like to do is I'll curl my hands over just slightly and maybe put them on my chest, so that way my fingertips especially aren't sending any information to my brain at all. And I find that's a really good way just to minimize, as eye masks and earplugs do, minimize distractions as you're trying to go to sleep. Your brain doesn't need any more stuff being thrown at it while you're trying to get to sleep. So give that a try if you're having trouble getting to sleep. There's also the classic things you need to do in your environment that you might have heard of, like a cool room around 19 degrees, I believe, is the optimal, or sort of the highest temperature you want your room to be to have a good sleep. You want to not eat anything a couple of hours before you go to sleep. And you want to have, low light, minimal noise. Your body actually needs to cool down in order to fall asleep. So it's really important to have those things covered. And don't do any exercise, any vigorous activity before you go to bed. Start, winding down. If you want a really comprehensive overview on that, a sleep study scientist or specialist by the name of Matthew Walker has published a couple of really good books if you want to get into that a bit further. Also caffeine. Caffeine has a really long half-life, which just means that it takes a long time for the potency of caffeine to get down to half of its initial potency. So it's got something like a 16-hour half-life or 8-hour quarter life, which basically translated means that, if you have a cup of coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning, your body and your brain is still feeling the effects of caffeine when you're trying to go to sleep at night. So just maybe reconsider the afternoon coffee as an added measure if you're really, really struggling to get sleep. I drink decaffeinated coffee. I don't tend to have, if I do have a coffee, I use it as a tool when I need to be awake, like before an exam or for a test. I'll deliberately ingest caffeine to wake myself up and keep me awake for that short amount of time that I need to be optimally concentrating for. But I'm ultra aware of the fact that I am using caffeine in order to be woken up. Why? Because I didn't sleep well, maybe because I went to bed too late. So I don't want to get in that vicious loop of using coffee to keep me awake because I'm tired because I didn't sleep, and then I can't get to sleep because I'm already jacked up on coffee, and then I have coffee again in the morning to wake me up. So that's a vicious circle that can really undermine your quality of sleep. And having said that, your quality of sleep may not be obvious to you. Like, you might think, yeah, fine, I don't wake up in the middle of the night, I slept like a baby. You may not consciously realize that you're not getting quality sleep. And because the level of sleep that's affected is your deep sleep. So sleep that you can't consciously tell that you're having, getting right into deep sleep. That's only something that can be ascertained by neuroimaging of your brainwave oscillations to show that you're in a particular, they call it delta wave pattern that's typically signals that you're in deep sleep. And that's the restorative time where your brain cleans itself out, reduce your risk of getting Alzheimer's and things like that if you let your brain build up with all this stuff in your cerebrospinal fluid that isn't getting cleaned out as part of the deep sleep delta wave patterns that we see in people that get enough sleep. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I should show you how to insert earplugs properly too, because there's a specific way. I used to work with some occupational health and safety consultants who regularly tell people who work in high noise environments to wear earplugs, but the amount of people you see working in those environments that you see their earplugs sticking out of their ears, or earmuffs. I mean, they're kind of a no-brainer. They just fit snug over your ears, but they don't offer the high decibel protection that inner ear, like those foam earplugs that you can actually put inside your ear canal. And I haven't got one here to show you, and I might do a video on it later, but basically you get the earplug and you squish it between your fingers and roll it up like a pencil, like a really tight pencil. And the key here is that while it's squished up in a long thin line, you grab your earlobe and pull it down and then put your earplug in at an angle, so the long squishy, the earplug's going in at an angle, in a horizontal angle, so you're pushing the earplug inside your ear canal but towards your face, like that, and that'll sit nice and flush inside your ear. Don't push it in too hard, just push it in enough so it sort of sits just behind this part of your ear, and you'll feel it expand again in your ear, and you'll hear that it's actually working. So yeah, that's about all I can think of for now. Let me know if there's any other things you need help with, any other tips you might like to share about how you get to sleep or sleeping aids that you use. See you next time.